acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather, the Turrbal people of Yuggera land, as well as the Woiwurrung people of the Wurundjeri land. We recognise their continued connection to the land and waters of this beautiful place and acknowledge that they never ceded sovereignty. We respect all Turrbal and Woiwurrung elders and ancestors and any First Nations people here today.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtsters, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to The Blurt.
You absolutely are listening to The Blurt. You are with the Kegstar. If you have ever if you have never listened to this program before, it's called The New Blurt, and it is I can't even speak tonight. I apologise. It is with Wency and the Kegstar. I am the Kegstar. And this pod is all about, it's called The New Blurt because that's what we do. We blurt about all different subjects. And the brilliant subjects we are blurting about tonight, what's going on from a COVID situation. There is lots going on, actually. Melbourne's having restrictions taken off this Friday. Queensland's having restrictions taken off. People are getting happier. People are getting back to work. Things are changing slightly. We're still getting 6,000 cases a day. But if you look at the ICUs and the people on ventilators, sort of thing, they've been going down steadily. So it all looks like it's going in the right direction. So anyway, we're going to have a bit of a chat about COVID tonight. And second cab off the rank is Party in the USA. And sometimes it is a party, sometimes it's not. We're talking about a few things tonight. One will be the Sandy Hook incident that happened a few years ago where there was a massacre of the high school. And it's not about that so much. It's more about the fact that there was a settlement for it. And I'm not sure if you know, but at the time, the NRA, the National Rifles Association of America, were trying to say that there was actors put up to play these parts, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be good to just unpack that a little bit and see exactly where that sits now. And then our last and newest segment is Econobabble, because we all need to know a little bit about the economy, what's happening in your world of economics. It could be just your world of, well, can I afford to go to Macca's this week? No, I can't. So I need to have the really cheap-ass fish and chips in my area. Maybe that's your economy of scale, as it were. But tonight we're actually talking about a few things. I'm going to be talking about really, really high inflation in Turkey, which, as you can imagine, is not making a lot of people very happy there. And even in Party in the USA, it depends on how much time we have, we might talk about what's happening with inflation in America as well. And hopefully when we get Professor Dr. David Smith back on our show, he's a professor, but anyway, Dr. David Smith back on our show, he'll be able to help us out a bit with that as well. But anyway, without any further ado, I need to do this. I like to do this. It's good to do this. And if you bear with me, I will be actually able to do this. So it's something that happens every week if you listen to the show, and it needs to happen because it's worthwhile happening. And here it comes. We have cheering not as long as I would prefer.
Same. I do like the long applause.
Yes, I know. I need to find it. I need to find a good applause. That's a little bit naff. But
it's all good. A good cheer is I don't care how long it is. It's a good cheer.
Well, it's better than. It's better than telling you to go and take a long walk off a short plank. So
yes, exactly right.
But anyway, so how are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad. Heard some really positive news today.
Positive. We like positive.
Yes. You've heard me bitch and moan about lack of daylight savings here in Brisbane and Queensland.
No, never.
Never? Okay. Well, the Lord Mayor, not that he's got much power in doing so, he has suggested that Queenslanders should go to a referendum for daylight savings.
You are kidding
introduced.
me. You're kidding me.
No, it's just about bloody time someone's talking about this. This is so important. I don't care about COVID. I don't care about the economy. Just bring in daylight savings. That's what I say.
You want your extra hour, don't you?
Oh, hell yeah. And none of this sun coming up at 4:30 in the morning rubbish.
No, I don't like the sound of that at all, actually.
No. So there was a referendum here 30 years ago, back in 1992. Oh, that's why he brought it up today, because the referendum was on February 22, 1992. So 30 years ago today. And at that time, it was voted 54.5% against daylight savings and 45.5% in favor of daylight savings. So surely in the last 30 years, with the amount of Mexicans coming in from south of Queensland, surely we've got enough numbers to sway that now if it was ever brought to a referendum.
Why on earth did they never think it was a good idea? I don't get it. It's a great idea. Who doesn't like it?
Exactly. Well, northern Queenslanders, the country folk up there.
Why do they not like it?
For those people listening, Kexter did roll his eyes. I could see that.
Yes, well, FNQ or NQR, as I like to call it.
Yes, I love them dearly because I've been up there recently. And I do like the folk up there, but please support the daylight savings. That's all I ask.
Yes, it would be a good thing. There's no doubt that it would be a good thing.
Yes.
Oh, damn! I was just about to. Oh, darn! I had a train of thought when you were talking about daylight savings, and you were. Oh, damn! It's gone. Oh, it's just totally gone. The Alzheimer's just kicked in too early. It's just, I don't know. It's completely gone.
No, it kicks in about the 15-minute mark, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure, buddy. I'm really not sure. But yeah, no, it's it's a bit weird. Oh, some information I did want to let you know. We picked up a few new subscribers this week.
Awesome.
So you need to get your ass in gear on that subscription ladder so that people will want to subscribe and listen to the pod. And I mean, we're not going to go Patreon more, not until we get a few more people wanting to listen, I suppose. But even then, I don't know. But
will people really want a polished podcast or just what we give them, which is
that's such a good question. Do they want professional podcasting skills or what we dish out weekly? Right.
Yes.
Let me think about that. Let me think. Yes, not sure. Don't know.
Yes, that sounded a lot like a laugh of someone I know here in Brisbane.
Oh, well, that's just weird. That's all I can say about that. No, there's quite a few things that we need to do, actually. We've got to get Comics Lounge on board. There's a phone call I need to make that happen. I'm sure we can make that happen. So, because as you know, we're big fans of Ash Fiesermain, who will be on this very show, live.
In 2 weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks, on the 8th of March. And his show at the Comics Lounge will be on the 13th of March, which obviously I am going to. And I think it will sell out. I hope it does. I'd be surprised if it doesn't, to be honest, but there you go.
Give him a big kiss from me. Kiss and a hug when you see him.
I will. I'm sure he'll, if he sees India and Ness again, he'll probably do that. He did that last time, so I'm sure he'll do that this time. But we've got a couple of friends coming with us. So, yeah, look, It should be a good night. I might get a interview with him afterwards, maybe. I might be able to just, grab him on record or something, on the phone type thing. So I'll see how all of that goes. Now, damn, I'm so... So
still trying to think about what you wanted to talk about.
It was so on the tip of my tongue. It was really quite important as well. I don't know where it's gone. It's just gone in the ether. So it's not coming back in a hurry. So there you go. There's no point thinking about it. But anywho, that is that. And then this is, as they say, would be probably this. And that means it's a COVID countdown, which used to be a countdown that we did because we've been doing this show for, I think, what is this, the second year?
Us together, yes.
Yes.
It's your third year because your first year was obviously on your own.
Yes. So, all right. So, did we did a full 21 together? Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. So we're up to show 67 tonight. We'll have our 100th show this year, which will be pretty cool. But anyway, so the COVID countdown has been going that long. And that's why this all started, because of, and that's why it's called the Blurt and all the rest of it. It was for us to get our temperature out there and see what people are thinking and et cetera, and for us to blurt some feelings out there as well. Anyway, long story short, COVID countdown is all about, obviously, COVID, what's happening. And Wency has some good stuff, positive stuff, I believe, to tell you. So
I do.
Take it away, Wency.
Woo. I'll have fries with that, please. Sorry, that joke.
Good.
So good news coming out of Queensland today. As of 4th of March, 6 p.m. We will
Sorry,
no longer...
Sorry. Did you say good news?
Yes, I did.
I got the good news. I don't want no bad news. Don't show me no dirty shoes. I just want the good news.
Sorry, so you said the good news. Yep, go for it.
That's all right. We can mix segments here sometimes. It's how we roll. So masks no longer required indoors, except in hospitals, residential aged care, disability
People on the pod,
accommodation.
thumbs up from the Kickstarter.
Exactly.
Just have
Masks no longer required in schools. Our kids will be super happy, although they'll be reluctant to keep them off because they just don't want to get it.
Yeah. Well,
which is fair enough.
how is your ventilation in your schools going? Because I know Victoria's got one of the biggest setups of they bought, I don't know what they're called, but they bought these certain ventilator air conditioning.
Were they purifiers?
Yeah, something like that. They bought a heap of them, and more than any other state ages ago. And I just wondered how Queensland's going.
I don't know about purifiers. I know the first day when kids went back to school, I did ask our children about ventilation, and they said, "Oh, yeah, they've got windows open. Still bloody hot, but yeah, the windows are open."
Yes, well, I was going to ask that. I would imagine they would have the window. What is the heat up there at the moment?
It varies, but it nearly always feels like it's 28 or 30. It doesn't matter what temperature it is. Although lately it's felt more like 34 with high humidity.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So tomorrow's going to be cold. I might have to pull out my my Tracky Dax and top because it's going to go down to 24 degrees.
I was going to say we had a beautiful day here today. It was 24 degrees.
So we've got to rug up for that.
No, I got to strip down for that. I got to go swimming. 24 is awesome. It's a lovely temperature. Anyway.
So there's a lot of the restrictions are easing here in Queensland, which is great news.
Yes, it is good news.
Which obviously is an indication that Omicron wave, the peak is either close to or getting or way past its peak by then. So hopefully that means cases won't be as high, hospitalizations won't be high, et cetera, et cetera. So so that's good news.
Well. According to the COVID counter website, Queensland is up to 46.6% of third doses of 16 and above. And they copped 5,500 cases.
Oh, wow. That's down from about 13 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest was on the 16th of Feb, which was 6,500. So it's only changed to 1,000.
Oh, I thought we had more than that. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
That's pretty good the way it's going at the
Mm.
moment.
Yeah.
But the ICU is 34, ventilators 11, hospital 394. And for Melbourne, or Victoria, if you like, we've got just under 6,800 cases,
Okay.
which isn't bad. And hospitals actually less than Queensland, 345.
Wow. Awesome.
And the ICU is 48. So, it's doing really, really well here. And the third dose is 55.2. So doing really well.
Speaking of third doses,
Yes.
I've got some stats here that for the 80% booster target, it's expected Victoria is going to reach that by 18th of March to get their third dose, and 90% on the 12th on the 12th of April. So that's coming up pretty soon. 12th of April for 90%. New South Wales, 80% of third will be the 22nd of March, and the 90% 14th of April. And good old Queenslanders getting their third jab, reaching 80%, will be 3rd of May, so well after Victoria and New South Wales. But our 90% third dose will be reached around about 1st of July. So there's a massive 2-month gap between 80 and 10% for us.
Yeah, but what was it? What was it for us for 90% for Melbourne? For
12th of April. 12th of April.
12th of April. Oh wow! So that's less than a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So less than 2 months for you guys.
Well, it's a week less than but I mean it's a week less than a month. Yeah, from
between 80 and 90.
Yeah. Whereas you're 2 months, as you say.
2 months.
I wonder what's going on there. I don't know.
I think it's just the reluctance of people taking their shots up here still. We're just on the slow go.
Yeah, well, you know.
Oh,
anyway.
And ACT, just before we round this off for this section, ACT, 8th of March for 80%.
Yes.
And 18th of March, so 10 days later, 90%.
Yeah, they've only got about 300,000, 400,000 people in the ACT.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so
it's not like New South Wales, 8 million, and Victoria, 7 million. So, I mean, we've both got more than Queensland. Queensland's got 5 million, and that is a massive, massive piece of land to have 5 million people.
Exactly right.
You can hide 5 million people in Queensland, I reckon.
Oh, easily. You wouldn't even see someone for days.
No, that's my point.
That's not a bad idea. Oh, I like that idea.
I've given you a great idea. Actually, talking about a great idea, this isn't one of them. Indonesia's tourism ministry is cracking down on hotel quarantine scams allegedly perpetrated by organised groups dubbed the Quarantine Mafia against foreign tourists. So police are investigating allegations of scams in hotel quarantine in Jakarta. This only happened what's today? Only 4 days ago, this was reported. The Indonesian government has introduced new regulations to tackle PCR tests, result disputes, and direct flights between Australia and Bali will resume from March the 4th. Well, that'll make heaps of bogans happy.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd imagine heaps of them are going to vote for slow-mo anyway. So, but anyway,
they'll probably end up voting for One Nation and UAP.
UAP, God, please don't say it. Yeah, I'm not even going to go. This is a COVID. This is COVID talk, but I'm not talking about that fat turd. Anyway, the alleged scam involves tourists being told at the end of their hotel quarantine period that their PCR test result is positive. So they are forced into an isolation hotel where they pay further accommodation. An isolation hotel only houses those tourists who have tested positive during quarantine. The tourists, despite having no symptoms, were also not allowed to get a second test to confirm the positive result. That's not a scam at all, is it?
No.
The Indonesian authorities have cracked down on the alleged scam by allowing travellers to get an independent second test. Tourism Minister Sandiaga Uno told the ABC the Indonesian government has put in place new regulations and standards to deal with the quarantine mafia practices. My God, is there anything that they can't try to make cash out of? It's phenomenal.
It's an
Seriously.
art form, and they do it really well, I've got to say.
Oh, don't they what? They do. Absolutely. I suppose when you've got skills in that area, you might as well just keep exploiting them.
Oh, for sure.
But
If they can get away with it and make money, why not?
But Indonesia, for quite a long time, during the peaks of the COVID period, the real peaks, were really struggling with deaths in that country, big time. And even when they were vaccinated, and because they had the Sinovac, that Chinese vaccine over there, and it seemed to be failing quite a lot, and they had many deaths from it. And I'm not sure the exact situation on it now, and maybe I might come back to that when we do COVID again in say a month. But the interesting thing about that is that Slow-Mo has said that people coming, I think, from China, or they had to sign a Sinovac vaccine, were being accepted, I believe, as having double dose. So that's something to watch. You know, that's something to just see where that goes.
Well,
But
at some
I
point
think-
we're going to have to accept all vaccines, otherwise we're just going to miss out on all these opportunities for people to come back, I guess.
Oh, look, I totally agree with you. And I think that with 95% of Australia vaccinated with and getting triple vaxxed now, I think we're, 55, 60% triple vaxxed, have to be one of the biggest in the world, I would have thought. And now New Zealand is copping, their fair share of COVID. Just the other day, they got 2,500 cases in a day. So they haven't seen anything like that since day one. So they're probably, shitting themselves slightly. Whereas we're just sitting here going, that's nothing. We were getting 40,000 at one stage.
Exactly.
Well,
Well,
but anyway.
Indonesia's in the poo again. I think they're getting the Omicron at the moment, because back in August of last year, they peaked at around about close to 600,000 cases. And only in the last, since January, end of January, the cases have started to go from about 20,000 and currently around about 530,000. So massive jumps. I think Omicron's hitting it. Yeah, Omicron's hitting now for them. So I guess the question is, are they protected to survive that onslaught of Omicron?
Well, maybe they are. Maybe that's something that we'll back over and investigate a little bit for the next COVID, and maybe next COVID will sort of go a little bit more far and wide and see what's happening outside and see where we are. It'll be interesting in a month where we are, because as you said, restrictions are coming off this this Friday. So next Monday you'll be able to go to work without a mask, and they're encouraging people to go into work now. So that's really interesting. I was reading an article this afternoon, but I didn't actually get right through it, sort of thing, because I was trying to do preparation for this, etc. CEO is doing it's got a certain plan to try to get people back. When I think it's on the smartcompany.com.au site, so I might put the link up in the show notes, and just I think it's worth reading. It'll be it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting what our company try to do. We had more people in today than I've seen for a very long time. So
that's good.
It was really cool. It was good. It was nice to say hello to a couple of people. It was good. It was good.
Not the empty, barren photo you sent us a few weeks ago.
No, not entirely anti-social distancing anymore. But anyway, we need a bit of this. Well, we do. If anyone's out there on the pod, just realise that.
Hi, it's Ashley Fixame here, and you're listening to the New Blurt with Wacey and Kexter.
That's what you should have heard. Following that, you should hear this.
Yeah, it's a party in
is a party in the USA, and I understand that my learned colleague has a fun bit for the. Yes, he's looking for that learned colleague.
I'm still looking.
fun bit for party in the USA. Well, I don't necessarily have a fun bit, but it's a really good bit, and I'm very, very happy to talk about it. So I'm going to.
All right.
But before I do,
You go first, I reckon, because
Okay.
then I can just
Yeah.
lighten the mood a bit when it comes to mine,
that's
because
cool.
I know yours
That
is.
is absolutely fine. It's no problems there. I'm just going to play this little bit because I think it's definitely worth listening to, just so people know what you're about to listen to may be a little bit harsh if you've got kids around and you're not too sure if you've got on speaker, etc. Maybe, I don't know, maybe get them not to be around. If they can handle it, that's cool. But it's just a warning anyway. Okay.
Police say Adam Lanza used a Bushmaster AR-15 style rifle to kill 20 small children and 6 adults at Sandy Hook Elementary School in 2012. 2 years later, some of the victims' families decided to sue Remington, the maker of the Bushmaster. They were told they had no chance of winning.
I could never tell you I thought I'd see this day. And it's not going to bring Mary back. It's not going to bring any of these kids back. But the cost of business is going to go up substantially.
The $73 million settlement between Remington, one of the oldest gun manufacturers in the United States, and some of the families, is the first of its kind in this country. The deal means Remington won't go on trial in September on charges its business practices contributed to the massacre.
Today marks an inflection point when our duty of care to our children as a society finally supersedes the bottom line of an industry that made such an atrocity as Sandy Hook possible to begin with.
That accountability means the families will get to make public internal company documents showing just how Remington marketed Bushmasters to the public, especially to socially insecure young men.
And the linchpin of this settlement is that it allows these families the rights to share the information as to what they learned.
Remington had fought the lawsuit, claiming a 2005 federal law did not hold it and other gun manufacturers liable for how their products were used.
No matter how tragic, no matter how much we wish those children and their teachers were not lost and their families had not suffered, the law needs to be applied dispassionately.
The Sandy Hook family say the time for being dispassionate is over.
I made a very early promise to do everything in my power to honor his short life. This lawsuit has been part of that promise. The closest I get to him now is by kissing his urn every night, telling him I love him and I miss him. But I made him a promise, and I'll keep working to deliver that promise for the rest of my life.
More than 9 years and 2 months after Sandy Hook, a hard-fought accountability that still cannot erase the worst of losses. Rosalind Jordan, Al Jazeera, Washington.
So,
Pretty moving stuff.
yeah, it is pretty amazing stuff, and that's where we are. So, I'll give you a little bit more on that, just a tad more. So, the image stopped him cold. Josh Koskoff, a Connecticut lawyer, was scanning the crime scene photos of 2012 Sandy Hook school shooting when he noticed taped mags on a classroom floor, 2 ammunition magazines crudely duct taped together to speed reloading. The gunman had dropped them during his rampage that killed however many he killed. The photo was a checkmate moment, Mr. Kos said, in the novel legal strategy that ultimately resulted in the $73 million settlement. Now, how many people and families are part of that? I'll see if I can get the right info here. But as you saw, it was Remington, the maker of Bushmaster AR-15 style rifle used in the massacre. So it's not bad enough having an AR-15, the fact that you can actually buy one legally, which is just ridiculous, that's not bad enough. We have to actually have the ability to be able to fire faster than that gun was made to fire. And it's possible for you to do that. I just find that the most disgusting. I can't even find words for it. It's so evil.
It is.
Why you would even? Oh, sorry, people on the pod. Sorry, my mind and my brain are just scrambled because I cannot think of a reason in this world why you would ever need that power or that extent of weapon. It just does my head in. And all these people from Sandy Hook thought exactly the same thing. So sorry, Wency, you're going to say
and most of America, I'm sure, do think the same way. It's just unfortunate that we've got all these political parties who are at the NRA's what's the word I'm looking for?
It's not disposal. Is it disposal?
No, they're under the thumb of the NRA, I guess.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They just control everything. So they provide so much political donations to various parties that no government's going to introduce any laws against gun makers because they'll lose vital votes.
Do you know, it's really interesting, Wency, because the NRA in America is they've been investigated for tax fraud and all the rest of it. And they've got some really super dodgy people there. And I mean, you know that because Pauline Hanson wanted to be in bed with them. So that's quite obvious. But they're really not anywhere near as powerful as you would make out that they are. It's actually a load of shit. It really is. They're nowhere near as powerful as people think they are. And Sandy Hook were the first sort of massacre, first oh, come on, brain work. When a whole bunch of cases get together, what do you call that?
Class action?
Class action, yes. It was one of the first class action to go against the NRA, definitely by a high school and definitely by all those families. And they won. I mean, it's not directly against the NRA, but it's definitely going to be, against what they believe in, if you know what I mean. So,
but it's crazy that it was sort of a technicality, really, because it was they only won because of the way that it was marketed, not because of the fact that the gun is bad. It's
I know.
And that's what I don't get is you're saying you marketed it wrong, but we still let you buy the shit.
Yeah, I know. But you got to count your blessings when they're there. When
you do.
Yeah?
You do.
But I hear you. I totally 100% hear you.
It's small steps, hopefully in the right direction for the anti-gun lobby group in America, which I'm sure so many people support it.
Well, I think I've spoken on this pod before about how many guns are in so little hands in America. Yes. And I don't mean that the people with the guns have tiny hands like Trump. No, I didn't mean that. That's not the reason they have trouble firing them, although they don't seem to have trouble firing. But no, there's 330 odd million people in America. There may be more now. There probably is. But there's 300 odd million or so. And there's something ridiculous like, I don't know, I think there's 300 million guns, 70 million guns. It's something ridiculous. I will get the figure, and when I find it, I will put it in the show notes so people can just go, what the f-? Because it is. It's a what the f- moment. It really is. I don't know when they're going to wake up. I don't know how many massacres they need to have, but this isn't about that. This is about the fact that they got their 73 million settlement. And to be honest with you, I reckon that the company's got off lightly because 73 million, I think, is 4/5 of fuck all.
Yeah, exactly. Really. Well said.
How many families are in here?
Yeah.
Just so people know, this is on the New York Times site, and I must admit, to be honest, you may not have access to it. If I can give you because I get free access, I think once a month or whatever it is, to a certain amount of sites. If I can do that, I will do that. If I can find the same story somewhere else where you can read it publicly, I will do that as well. But it's a good read because we need to not just bury this stuff. We need to remember that it happened and it was terrible. And in this particular case, you know, there's been a good thing out of it. Anyway, that's enough out of me.
Exactly.
Over to you, my friend, because we've got a show to crack on with.
We do. Let's crack on. So my story from the US is one of those, I guess, sort of classic only in America thing. There's a story in California near Lake Tahoe, which is a reasonably famous lake. Because I hear that quite often.
Well, it is because it's really good to ski there.
Is that what it is? Yes,
Oh, yes,
I do hear.
very, very good for skiing.
I keep getting it confused with lake. There's another lake in New Zealand that's the same name or very similar.
Oh, Waikato or something.
No, I thought it was called Lake Tahoe as well in New Zealand. I could be wrong. Frequently am. Anyway, I digress.
There you go. There's some investigation for you. You
There
might
is.
have to put that in the show notes
so.
and correct yourself.
I think I will. Yes, so California's Lake Tahoe, there is a 500-pound black bear, 500 pound equating to about 300, I had the number before, 226 kilograms. So that's 3 times my weight, just over. So this massive bear roaming around.
That's bigger than fattest.
I'm not going to comment. No comment here. I'm not going to say anything. So we won't have him on.
He's a big man.
Anyway, he is a big man.
No,
lovable,
probably not.
big man.
He's a big man.
No,
Yes. Well, he can be, but
yes. So he
he's not talking
is
to me. So he's definitely won't talk to me now.
No, definitely not. We just lost a subscriber. Bugger.
he needs to learn how to write first, so that's no chance of that.
Anyway, we digress.
We do.
500-pound bear roaming around Lake Tahoe in California. So there's a big authorities trying to catch the bear because he's just roaming around homes, destroying and making a big right old mess across homes. Seems to be unafraid of humans. Doesn't seem to be moving away from him. He's not afraid of them. So some authorities are saying it could be a potential dangerous situation because it's not afraid.
Smarter than the average bear.
Each bear, exactly. They've tried to deter it by using loud sirens, dry firing their tasers, so it makes that clickety noise. Bears seem to hate that. They've fired me too. A couple of times is okay, but when you fire it like a clicker pen 100 times, too much. They've tried beanbag rounds to shoo it away, but they just can't get.
So what you're saying is you've got a whole bunch of people and they're throwing beanbags at a bear and it's not scaring him. That's what you're telling me.
And it's not scaring it. Pretty much.
Who would have thought?
Maybe they need to put some Yogi Bear off Netflix or one of the streaming services and give him a big beanbag so that he can watch it. And then maybe they can catch him that way.
I reckon that's not a bad idea. I like that. I like that thought. I like the way you think, Wency. That's a good thought process. I do like that.
So I will contact the authorities in Lake Tahoe and pass that on to him.
Yeah, I think you should. I absolutely think you should. And you should do it from the new Blurt Gmail too, which is blurtstar@gmail.com. So if you ever want to abuse or accuse us of anything or just say hello, blurtstar@gmail.com. BLURTSTAR@gmail.com.
Yes. And that's my bit with the USA. Just a little
nice. I like it. I like it very much. So, no, that's good. And that obviously will be in the show notes too, if people want to find out about that one.
Absolutely.
So, did they have a name for the bear?
Hank. Oh, that's right. Hank the Tank. I forgot to mention that. That's his name. Yes.
I like it. I like
That's
it.
a great
Very
name.
good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Got to give
Oh.
these animals nice names. Relatable
Absolutely.
names.
Is there any video that goes with that article? Do you know?
No videos. Just photos of it drinking Pepsi,
Having a beer.
having a beer. Beers.
Just
Just
sitting back, popcorn, chicken wings. Hey, guys.
see, just the beanbag and Netflix, and
he's off.
he'll be happy. Yeah,
He's off.
obviously happy with human food.
Entertained with the book on modern macro, the man you need when the economy's off track. Depression, recession, now your questions in session. Have a seat and I'll school you one simple lesson. Boom, 1929, the big crash.
It's the economy, stupid.
It is the economy, stupid. It's our segment Econo, and yeah, it's all about what's happening in the economy around Australia or in your back pocket. Would you like to go first, my friend?
Sure. Seeing as it's been a little bit COVID-related show tonight, I'm looking at the international borders opening up here in Australia and how that has played badly and how it's going to play moving forward as well. So back pre-COVID, Australia had was on a 20-year high of international travelers coming into Australia. Tourism was booming, and bloody COVID came. So up until then, we had roughly, so I got my head sideways to read a graph, roughly about $100 billion was being spent on domestic and international visitor spending in Australia for that year. Once and hotel rates, occupancy rates were pretty high, hovering around the 80%. So come March of 2020, when it was all really hitting hard in April, it went from about 70% occupancy rate to 20%. So obviously cut down drastically. Other things that were affected tourism-wise, as we all know, convention and conference income went down 99%, organized tours went down 98%, gambling went down 98%, entertainment went down 97%, taxis went down 95%. So
is really, really huge, high percentages.
It is. It was just completely decimated, absolutely decimated.
My bad. Was that here or where was that again?
That's here in Australia. This is all Australian tourism.
So it was probably, and were they given a JobKeeper or?
Very limited, I think it was. They were one of the industries that weren't really catered to like others, same as the arts industry, where they weren't eligible, because a lot of people in arts, at least in the art industry, aren't even permanent staff. They're all contractors, so they weren't eligible for a lot of those things.
That is 100%.
So that was the economy then. Now we've opened up our borders again to travel from overseas yesterday in Australia. So what's in store for the upcoming months, years? Well, it's a bit hard to say. January ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics data of incoming overseas arrivals for January of 2022 was 265,000, compared to 2 years ago in January 2020, just before COVID, was 2.26 million overseas arrivals. So that's a 90% decrease. So now that we're opening up, we're expecting February, March to be considerably more than 265,000. Of course, the problem with our tourism industry at the moment in Australia is a lot of those people who worked in it are no longer in the industry. So a lot of those skills are gone. So we pretty much wiped 20 years of knowledge in 2 years. So the challenge now for Australia now is to get people trained up again in tourism, or get some of those people who have moved on to different careers back into tourism. Is going to be a big challenge. So I don't know or have heard anything about things like that happening here by any government, state or federal. So at one point we were making roughly $4 billion a month on tourism. So we've got to get something close back to that to start making our tourism industry make a substantial positive effect on our economy here in Australia. So, and I'm sure this will be the same in many other countries who have gone through the same thing.
Look, I'm sure it is, and I also think that obviously international students would have decimated this industry as well. I mean,
absolutely,
because obviously they bring all the families and all the rest of it. So that's a double-edged sword in that it kills the universities and it kills the tourist industry at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah, look, it's interesting because, I mean, as you know, the arts, I think the arts was given 250 million. Now, this is an industry that gives revenue to Australia of something, I think it's anywhere between 4.5 and 7 billion yearly.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were given 250 million.
Yeah. What's that? Not even 10%.
Oh, it's just absolutely bullshit. And considering how much they were propping up, well, I mean, Harvey himself had 22 million he didn't need. And, you know, and that's just a person who's already multimillionaire. We're talking about artists that, you know, they're part-time at times, they're contract, a lot of times they're not permanent salaries. And we're talking about symphony orchestra, musicians, all this sort of stuff, you know.
Roadies,
just
back of house.
Yeah, absolutely. Back of house, actors, you name it. Really, really tough stuff. So,
it'll probably take years for the tourism industry, at least here in Australia, to get back to what it was.
Yeah, look, as you said, I think it's definitely without a doubt, it's all over the world at the moment. And, you know, and the weird and wonderful thing, well, it's not wonderful, it's definitely weird and not good. There's nothing wonderful about it. Inflation is going through the roof in some countries, and inflation in America apparently is running at about 7% at the moment.
Wow.
Which is pretty bloody high. I mean, we're whinging about things here because, I mean, petrol's gone through the roof, but between you and I, we need to be transitioning into an electrified car as soon as we can. So we don't want to be whinging about petrol. We want to be saying how good it is to have the electricity that is renewable. You know, so
but currently is only affordable by those who can afford an expensive car.
Well, that's exactly
EVs are essentially luxury cars at the moment.
Yeah. Well, Sol Griffiths. Yeah, absolutely. Sol Griffiths talked about that, and it'd be an absolute pleasure if we could get him on the show. And I feel that we can. I just haven't had a chance to talk to him, but I would love that to happen because he's that man is phenomenal. And talking about phenomenal people, Richard Dennis, who we spoke about on this show before from the Australia Institute, who we fully support on this show, and both Wency and I have listened and partaken in quite a few of their webinars. And they're all good. Richard Dennis, who I just read his latest book, Big: The State of the Economy. I realized why I like the man so much.
What's that?
Well, because he used to be an advisor to Bob Brown, and I used to love Bob Brown. So, he's been in politics, so he knows the game. He knows how it all runs. Yet, if you read the book and you listen to, you know, and you take on board what he says, I mean, it's a lot of what I sort of knew anyway. But he just gives you these really, really good examples, and he doesn't. You know, he doesn't make it in a detailed. I mean, it's detailed, but it's not that you have to be a professor of economics to understand it. If you understand what I mean. I mean, but I mean, I've been following, you know, economics for a long time, and I did study it as well. But yeah, no, he just makes so much sense, and as he talks about, he talks about how economy isn't, it's not just about right or wrong. It's about ethics and morals and choices and what you want to do. And unfortunately, it's not represented to the electorate like that many times. It's like balanced budget, good. Deficit, bad. Surplus, good. And that's all total bullshit. I mean, when you're in a situation that you've got MMT, which is making your own money, basically. Jesus, I shouldn't know what it stands for. I can't remember what it stands for. But it's all about quantitative easing, which is creating your own money. And that's exactly what they did, and all the countries did around the world. And so we've got this massive glut, and so that's why. And so they've been giving all the money back in America with all the different refunds and not just tax refunds, but packages, etc., that are worth like 1.4 trillion, etc., etc. You know, and as we had here, 70 billion that was 130 billion, but they can't count, so they had to put it back to 70 billion. All that sort of stuff. So that is always going to increase inflation, and when that happens. Now, inflation isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in this case, it is a bad thing because we haven't had any fair income wage rises for over 10 years. So that's the problem.
Exactly.
I mean, my wages only be going up by like 2 or 3%. Well, if CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is running at 3%, that basically means that all I'm doing is keeping up with what's happening. I would need to be getting 6% to be actually doing better than I was before. Because I could get more money, but if the CPI is higher, it makes no difference if my percentage is the same, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll put in the show notes if people don't quite understand what CPI is. I will put in a link in there to explain what Consumer Price Index is, those sort of things. But with the Economy Babble, going forwards, we will have some really, really good people on the economy, so it'll be well worth listening to. I've reached out to a podcast called Economist versus Comedian, or Comedian versus Economist, might be that way. Thomas is the economist there, and I've had a bit of a chat with Thomas, and he's more than happy to come onto the show. And the idea is for him to chat to us regarding what the budget that's just been brought down, or maybe what the budget will look like before it's brought down. So we'll have some.
Which we're expecting in March, I think.
Well, the more and more I listen, the more and more it sounds like May, because I mean March is like tomorrow, sort of thing. So that's
the budget in March.
Oh, the budget. Sorry,
budget. Yeah. The budget.
Yeah. That'll be interesting, because obviously it won't be a surplus, and it doesn't need to be. This is a stupid thing. People, please, who listen to this pod, realize it doesn't need to be a surplus. It doesn't need to be a deficit. If you need to extract money from the economy, therefore you have a deficit budget. If you need to inject money into the economy, you have a surplus budget. That's how it works. And if you don't want to do either, you have a balanced budget, or you have Sorry, go for it.
No, you go. You go.
I was just going to say, and if you don't want to do either, you have a global monetary salary that everyone gets very similar. Yeah, that's called socialism. You know, but
nothing terrible about that.
Isn't brilliant all the time. So
no,
anyway, sorry,
exactly.
you were going to say. I apologize. You were going to say.
I was also going to say that I've gone. It's my turn to have a mental blank.
That's all right. That's not a problem. I can just fill in that mental blank for 2 seconds.
No, I just remembered. It also doesn't mean that we need tax cuts, personal tax cuts.
Yes,
I know. The politicians think that that's what we need because we'll spend the money. No, we'll just spend it on things that we absolutely need, like education or other things that we're quickly falling into debt as a society. So how about just spend some more money on us that we need?
On that, absolutely, totally agree. And again, a big State of the Economy by Richard Dennis. Highly recommend reading that. It's all about everything you said then. And it's, again, all about choices. Tax cuts, do we need them? No, we don't. Did we ever need them? No, we didn't.
No.
Where could have it all gone? It could have gone into our hospitals, could have gone into our schools, it could have gone into our NDIS system, it could have gone into different education systems for gender diversity regimes, all these sort of things. Indigenous education from ground up, kindergarten, all the way through, change their history, change their curriculum, change your country, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, all that sort of stuff. So, no, tax cuts definitely aren't needed. And the other thing is, not only are they not needed, they're never, ever targeted to anyone that has a chance of getting anything back. So, for instance, the last tax cuts were an absolute joke. All you had to do was go through, have a look at your refund, and your refund was bugger all more than what it would have been in the first place. And the reason for that is because you weren't earning over $200,000.
Yes.
People that were getting $10,000 refund. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
You know, and no, we don't need it. You know, I mean, I do okay, you do okay, and we're still more than happy to pay more tax if we need to. If it goes into the roads, if it goes into our community. You know, that's what it's all about now. It's not about just looking after my back pocket. You know, I heard a small business owner on she was a Chinese small business owner, and the reason I bring that up is because they were talking about a Chinese, well, a Chinese sort of, it's not a Chinese-based seat, but there's many Chinese Australians in it, and Chisholm in Victoria is one of them. And it was only just one last time, and it was actually a little bit dodgy that why they won, because what the Liberals did was they changed the signs out the front that looked in Chinese very similar, so that when the people were reading them, they were actually telling them to vote Liberal. This is what you need to do, because it's in Chinese. And there was a lot of dodginess, and the AEC didn't do enough about it. The Australia Electoral Commission, they didn't do anywhere near enough about it. Anyway, she just got in. And then there was a whole bunch of, you know, having a crack at her. Was she part of the, was she working for the Communist Party, all that sort of stuff. But anyway,
it's funny how we don't hear about that now, but anyway.
Well, exactly right. No, you're 100% right. But you're going to hear about it soon, because it's going to come up in the election again. And that will be a super tight seat. And I believe there's an independent going in that seat as well in Chisholm. So that's going to be interesting. But my point was that I listened to this small businesswoman in Chisholm, and she said, well, it doesn't affect, what they were talking about was foreign affairs. And we'll talk about that another time. We won't talk about that now. But what they were talking, she was talking about foreign affairs, and she was saying, look, as long as it doesn't affect my work, it doesn't affect my family, and it doesn't affect me, I only care about the economy. And I'm like, well, that's great. That's a fantastic attitude. Thank you for being part of the community. Because that doesn't help. That doesn't help anyone. So
exactly.
Anyway, I'm just going to finish on this note, because we've been going for a while. So, and it's been fun. But I'm just going to finish on this note. So textile prices, like many raw materials, are soaring on resurgent post-pandemic demand and the rocketing cost of both energy and transport industry, experts say. Cotton, linen, silk, and wool, as well as synthetic materials derived from petroleum, well, we know how expensive that is, faced surge. Mind you, if you are buying products, i.e. that you are going to put on your body that are derived from petroleum, find another raw material. Faced surging prices in recent months, boosted also by the global supply chain crunch. As a result, the red-hot inflation is now a major talking point at the industry's London Fashion Week showpiece, which runs until Thursday. So it says here, the restart of activity worldwide in 2021 and increased demand for the textile industry have accelerated the mechanism of tension on raw materials. Cotton, which had already surged almost 50% last year, peaked earlier this month at $1.29 per pound, reaching a level last seen in 2011. So I believe that is a very high cost for cotton per pound, I believe. Organic cotton, the cost of wool and flax linen, meanwhile, rebounded between 2020 and 2021, having declined for almost 3 years, et cetera. There's a few more other bits here. Here in the US, we're more affected by the sharp rise in shipping than the price of materials, Faber said. Onward transport from the Port of Chicago compounds that heavy burden, mirroring transit problems seen elsewhere. Since the onset of COVID-19, we've experienced a decline in truckers, and the transit companies have raised their prices to cover fuel costs and overtime, bonus incentives, noted Faber. And Faber is the CEO, I believe, of a particular fashion outlet that I have. Oh, we go. Rogie Sussman Faber, owner of Chicago area company Vogue Fabrics, told the AFP that transportation was their biggest issue. So that's what's happening in America at the moment. I mean, do you know anything about the truckers convoy in Canada at the moment?
I know it's morphed into something more than just a truck industry issue, and you've got all the nutters joining in. But no, I can't remember why that started in the first place.
Oh no, it's everything you said. It's they're against Justin Trudeau because he's trying to save them.
Of course.
Yeah.
Why do you want to be saved? Come on.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. They're against mandates and all this other sort of crap. But the worst part is that their trucks are ceasing transportation getting across the border. So there's lots and lots of supply issues in America. So obviously, if people can't get what they need to get, demand goes up, and so inflation's going through the roof at the moment because of all these different COVID situations. Also, because, as I said to you, they made a lot of money, i.e., they physically created a lot of cash to go into the system because America's got like a triple, I don't know how many trillion. I might find out and put it in the show notes because it's a fun number to have a look at. In deficit compared to us, where we have about 850 billion in deficit, which is small compared to much of the rest of the world. But apparently we have to keep wanting to pay that off, and people whinge about it, and people go, "Oh my God, we're going to pay off the deficit." It's like you really don't have a clue what you're talking about, do you? You just don't.
Too much
you don't know what a deficit is. Look, the whole time you've got the ability to be able to create money, you don't have a problem. And we've got enough assets to, pay for our debt as it is, etc. If we ever needed to, but I can't see that happening in a hurry. It's going to be a lot of other countries before us get caught in before we do.
For sure.
But anyway, that's that.
All right.
That is that.
That was a bit
so
meaty,
that's
that one.
Econoban. Yeah, it was. I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. Have we done Econoban before?
No, this was our first one. So
it's good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, definitely need to get some economists on the show.
Yes,
and
we will
talk about it.
We will. And the idea is to actually see if we can get, because the good thing about Thomas is he's actually he's a fair dinkum economist, but he really cares about the environment as well. But he can be practical. Not in his advice so much, but because he's not going to give advice, but he can be practical in what he's talking about. I.e., if he needs to talk about a good investment and it happens to be fossil fuels or whatever, he can explain what the situation is there because he's in the game. But it's not something I would imagine he would want to do because I know that I've listened to the podcast enough time. He seems pretty darn green to me.
Wow, good.
Yeah, no, definitely. But no, you're right. It's always good to get all different types of absolutely. And we do need different opinions. I understand.
Oh, for sure. As long as they agree with us.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly right. They can be different as long as they're the same. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Exactly right. So, but now, one thing we haven't done, last week or the week before, put down 2 weeks ahead of what we're going to do, so we would know what we're going to do next week, because we know what we're going to do the week after, which is Ash. So, but one thing I will say though, last week's podcast went out yesterday, people.
Last night, correct.
So if you have not downloaded it yet, do that. It's
why?
I
haven't
listened to
you?
half of it today. No, that's exactly right. If you haven't, get onto it. Come on. We need the numbers.
Yes, and the other thing to remind people: go buy those tickets for January 26th at the Comedy Festival. Support the podcast
Yes.
by watching Kegstar.
Yes, do that. Do that. It should be very good. I'm hoping there's more than 50 people in the room. And that's not just the people on stage, because that'd be really annoying.
I'm sure it'll be a sellout or close to.
Jesus, I'd love it, but that's not going to happen. It's about a 500 seater. There's no way that's selling out. Not with that show. No chance in hell. But if we can
You'll be
get
surprised.
200, I'll be happy. I'll be very happy. But even 100 would be nice. But anyway. All right, people. Until next week.
All right.
Absolute pleasure. See you, my friend.
Anyway, see ya.
No, that way.
Bye.
Bye. No, wrong way.
Yeah. Oh,
there
sorry.
it is.
Oh no, this
Bye.
way. This way. Oh,
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Hang
High
on, which way?
five.
I've got to look
Can I
that way.
high five? Yeah, high five. You ready?
I've got to stretch really high.
There you
Hey.
go. Beautiful.
That way.
Later, all.
Bye.
It's trying to high five. Just people on the pod. That's what